Good to have you back on our channel, beloved. The Book of Tobit is a book that is not popular in the Christian body, but has gathered several questions from different ages. Most people have wondered why this book is not found in the canonical Bible, while others feel it is merely a well-scripted work of literature. Today we shall uncover the life of Tobit, his uniqueness, his entirety and worthy lessons, his exile which reflects the broader theme of suffering and faithfulness amid displacement and oppression that pervades this book of Tobit. Let's dive into the lessons of Tobit's suffering. Several years ago, in 722 BCE, there was a blood-spilling battle in Israel. In fact, walking past a dead body, even under the scorching sun at noon, lying lifelessly like vegetables, was like seeing fallen leaves. The Assyrians slaughtered the Israelite heartlessly as they contended to dominate the northern kingdom of Israel. During this time of great threat, there lived a man named Tobit who was forcefully carried away, bound foot and hands, and deported to the barren city of Nineveh by the armies of the Assyrian Empire. Tobit, before the outbreak of war, belonged to the tribe of Naphtali, one of the northern tribes that were captured and taken into captivity during this period. The Assyrians sought to overthrow the Israelites, hence they scattered them across foreign territories to weaken their national identity and prevent rebellion. Despite being forcefully abandoned in Nineveh, Tobit remained faithful to God's laws and refused to participate in the idolatrous culture around him. His commitment to righteousness and charity distinguished him, but it also made him a target of constant attacks and mockery in a land far from his ancestral home. Despite the shame and harsh words spoken against him, Tobit, out of his large heart, would go about burying the dead littered on the street, even though there was a royal decree that condemned such acts. One fateful day, after performing a burial, he fell asleep under a wall. Unknown to him, a bird had built her nest there, so as he laid under the nest, the bird released droppings that fell into his eyes, and by the time he woke up, he was blind. He couldn't shut his eyes, nor could he pick himself up to adjust to this sudden, unpleasant reality. His once prosperous life had just crumbled, leaving him to face this wicked slave master called poverty. Albeit, Tobit was married to an average-height woman named Anna, who gave birth to their only child and son, Tobiah. Anna plays such a subtle yet significant role in the life of her husband, Tobit. Due to Tobit's new unfriendly companion, blindness, the family's story turned upside down into a very devastating situation as more and more difficulty kept embracing each passing day. Anna, a beautiful woman who was not given to labor all her life, was now subjected to take on the responsibility of feeding the family. She took up a trade by weaving cloth for income. Because she was highly skilled, more and more women flocked to her store to make purchases. Some even bought in bulk to further resell them to petty buyers. But along the line, just like every business faces, her sales began to decline, and feeding now became a tug of war. She was clueless and compoundly frustrated. At one point, Anna lashed out her frustration on Tobit. She almost nagged him into madness, as she terribly accused Tobit that his insistence on maintaining his righteous practices despite their suffering was the reason more calamity kept befalling them. Her frustration grew above the rooftop when Tobit, in his blindness, accused her of stealing a goat she was gifted by her once very good old friend. Her eyes became as hot as fire, and she was breathing heavily. She turned her blood eyes to Tobit as she opened her mouth to talk. Her sharp response shook Tobit to his bones as she stood with her hands placed on her hip and said, "Where are your charitable deeds now? Where are your righteous acts? Look, all that has happened to you is evident that you've only labored for the wind." Tobit 2:14. These words deeply hurt her husband, but he couldn't blame her. He knew that it was his current inability to fend for his family that has left an emotional toll on his once-upon-a-time gentle as a dove wife. But as Tobit's neighbors intensified in their mockery, and his house has now become a battlefield due to daily misunderstanding with his wife, Tobit earnestly prayed for death rather than offend God. Instead of death, God gave him a tender heart to forgive his offenders and yet again, pray for the deliverance of his people from sin and captivity. With this change of heart, his unwavering faith in God persisted, and even grew better than when he was a complete man. Tobit, sensing his end was near, called his son Tobiah and imparted to him timeless wisdom, emphasized that he must honor God, give alms generously, avoid sin, and uphold righteousness. He instructed Tobiah to retrieve a sum of money left with a relative in Media, a journey masked with uncertainty. Tobiah sets out, accompanied by a mysterious stranger who offers to guide him. Unknown to Tobiah, this guide is Raphael, sent by God to lead him safely, protect him from danger, and fulfill a divine purpose. Anna, back at home, was worried sick for several days as she kept pacing around the house. Eventually, she grew tired of stretching her neck out of the window at the slightest sound that suggested the movement of a human figure. It is safe to say that Anna was faithless, as she couldn't utter any single word of prayer as she worried over her child's safety. In fact, Tobit, her husband, became the very least of her problems. Far away in Ecbatana, there lived a young lady named Sarah, who has an ugly history of being tormented by the demon Asmodeus, who kills every man she marries on their wedding night. This tragic cycle has occurred 7 times, leaving her as an object of ridicule and unending gossip. Overwhelmed by shame, Sarah contemplates taking her life, but fears dragging her family in the mud by further raising dust that may not settle in good time. Like Tobit, she turned to God, pouring out her pain in prayer. Unknown to her, her heartfelt plea reached heaven almost at the same time as Tobit's. God dispatches the archangel Raphael to heal their wounds, setting their fates on a divinely orchestrated path toward healing and restoration. Tobiah, on the other hand, continued on his journey to retrieve his father's money. As the journey progresses toward Media, Tobiah and Raphael stop by the Tigris River, where a large fish attacked Tobiah. Tobiah froze to his bones. He literally saw his life flash before him, but at Raphael's instruction, Tobiah captured the fish and removed its heart, liver, and gall, seemingly strange trophies with divine purposes. Raphael reveals their medicinal properties. The heart and liver can drive away demons, while the gall can heal blindness. Arriving in Media, Raphael informs Tobiah of Sarah's pitiable past, and in the same vein encourages him to marry her. Though fearful of the demon, Tobiah followed Raphael's advice and trusted in God's deliverance. After expressing his heartfelt intention to Sarah, Tobiah and Raphael visited Sarah's family, where Tobiah boldly asked for her hand in marriage. Sarah's father, Raguel, hesitates, fearing another tragedy, but ultimately agrees. Every preparation was carried out, and they were both sealed in matrimony. On their wedding night, Tobiah followed Raphael's instructions to burn the fish's heart and liver right in their bedroom. Immediately they lit the organs. The smoke drove away Asmodeus like a flash, and Raphael pursued and binded the demon in Egypt. For the first time, Sarah enjoyed matrimonial bliss. Her joy knew no bounds. It felt like a dream too good to be true when she realized they were a week old in marriage, and yet Tobiah only grew stronger. He was obviously very far from death. Overjoyed by this marvelous turn of events, her family celebrates with a 14-day feast, while Tobiah sends Raphael to collect the money left in Media. After the grand celebrations, Tobiah and Sarah travel down to Nineveh, where Tobiah uses the fish's gall to heal Tobit's blindness. This miracle was one in town as Tobit fled into the street to spread this glorious news. The entire community shook in amazement. That day, love was reframed and hope was restored to the family, leading to joyous reunions and a newfound appreciation for God's mercy. Tobit, seeing his son's happiness and Sarah's deliverance, danced before God for his faithfulness. The family prospers once more, living in gratitude for divine intervention. Tobit, desiring to reward Raphael for his guidance, is met with a revelation that leaves him awestruck and dumbfounded. Raphael unveils his true identity as one of God's archangels, sent to answer their prayers. He encouraged them to continually thank God and share his deeds with others. With a final blessing, Raphael ascended to heaven, leaving Tobit and his family in awe of God's majesty. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Tobit composed a song of praise, exalting God's mercy justice, and enduring love. He calls on all nations to worship the one true God, who brings restoration to the downtrodden and salvation to the faithful. Tobit's song becomes a testament to the transformative power of faith, hope, and unwavering trust in God's plan. Now let's look at 7 reasons why the book of Tobit is not in the Bible. 1. The inspired author of the book used the literary form of religious novel, as in Esther and Judith, for the purpose of instruction and edification. The seemingly historical data, names of kings, cities, etc., are used as vivid details not only to create interest and charm, but also to illustrate the negative side of the theory of retribution. The wicked are indeed punished. Although the Book of Tobit is usually listed with the historical books, it more correctly stands midway between them and the wisdom literature. It contains numerous maxims like those found in the wisdom books, cf 4-3:19-21, 12-10, 14-7-9, as well as standard wisdom themes: fidelity to the law, intercessory function of angels, piety toward parents, purity of marriage, reverence for the dead, and the value of almsgiving, prayer, and fasting. The book makes Tobit a relative of Ahikar, a noted hero of ancient Near Eastern wisdom literature and folklore. 2. The Book of Tobit was written most likely in Aramaic. The original of the book was lost for centuries. Fragments of 4 Aramaic texts and of 1 Hebrew text were discovered in Qumran Cave 4 in 1952, and have only recently been published. These Semitic forms of the book are in substantial agreement with the long Greek recension of Tobit found in Codex Sinaiticus, which had been recovered from St. Catherine's Monastery, Mount Sinai, only in 1844, and in Mis 319 and 910. 2 other Greek forms of Tobit have long been known: the short recension, found mainly in the MSN 3. The present English translation has been based mainly on Sinaiticus, which is the most complete form of the long Greek recension, despite 2 lacunae, 4:719b and 13.6i10b, and some missing phrases, which make succeeding verses difficult to understand and make it necessary to supplement Sinaiticus from the Vetus Latina or from the short Greek recension. Occasionally, phrases or words have been introduced from the Aramaic or Hebrew texts when they are significantly different. Forms of the Book of Tobit are also extant in ancient Arabic, Armenian, Coptic, Sahidic, Ethiopic, and Syriac, but these are almost all secondarily derived from the short Greek recension. 4. Tobit was not included in the Bible because it was not considered to have been written in Hebrew or recognized as part of the authoritative scriptures during the councils where the canon was formalized, around the 1st century CE. Some ancient manuscripts show it was originally written in Aramaic or Greek. 5. The Book of Tobit was likely written during the 2nd century BCE and circulated in Greek rather than Hebrew. Many of the scriptures considered canonical by the Jewish leaders had older origins and were written in Hebrew. 6. During the 16th century, Martin Luther and other Protestant reformers chose to exclude the deuterocanonical books from their version of the Old Testament. They relied on the Jewish Masoretic text as their primary source and believed these books lacked the same level of divine inspiration. Luther called the deuterocanonical books useful for reading, but not authoritative scripture. 7. While Tobit contains valuable moral lessons, teachings on piety, charity, and angelic intervention, some Protestants questioned certain elements, such as its teachings about angels, e.g., the role of Raphael, and the narrative's folkloric tone, considering them inconsistent with their understanding of canonical scripture. In conclusion, the Book of Tobit is absent from the Protestant and Jewish canons, primarily because it was written in Greek or Aramaic, not Hebrew, and was considered outside the authoritative Jewish scriptures. However, it remains part of the Catholic and Orthodox Bibles. A huge thumbs up to all our new subscribers. We appreciate your audience and warm comments. Thank you. This channel is aimed at arming you with the proper knowledge to solidify your beliefs or reorder your perspective rightly. Therefore, we encourage all our viewers to subscribe to this YouTube channel for more interesting and educating videos like this.